All right, now that breaking news, our Mike Rogers was talking about the CHP in pursuit of a grand theft suspect, Desmond Shaw, above it now in SkyCal. Des?
Yeah, while we are trying to catch up with this one on the southbound side of the 5, we just coming away from the Norwalk area. This one has come a really long way. This started in Riverside County. We believe may have started in the Moreno Valley area, and pretty peculiar. It sounds like this may have started with petty theft. Reports that two people went into a store and walked out with something without paying. They didn't use force. They're not calling this a robbery, but then it was Riverside County Sheriff's deputies that attempted to follow this vehicle. They've since turned it over to CHP now that we are deep into LA County. Actually, we're on the cusp of Orange County now at this point. You can see some pretty high speeds on this one. I believe I heard them just say that they believe that the driver is a female, believed to be at least two people in the vehicle. CHP, some pretty high speeds on this one. Just saw it briefly off the freeway, but from Moreno Valley all the way to the 605, South 605, and now South 5 as we head towards Orange County wanted, Mike.
Yeah, as we're watching this unfold here, it's interesting. Police would normally pursue someone for shoplifting, but in this case, we're talking about grand theft, Mike.
We are, and grand theft elevates it to a felony. It's a certain dollar amount that they must have stolen that elevates it to a felony. Now, Des, I heard what you heard, that this is believed to be a female driver, which would lead me to believe there could be at least 3 people in the car, because I just got off the phone with a sergeant from the Riverside Sheriff's Office. This all started at Moreno Valley when these suspects went into a store and a shopping center out there and stole these alleged items. The employee who called 911 told the sheriff's office it was 2 men who robbed the store, or who rather stole those items from the store. So if there were 2 men that stole the items and now a female driver, it's possible that there are at least 3 people in the car right now. I can tell you no weapon was used in that theft, according to the Sheriff's Department. It happened at the 12,600 block of Frederick Street, which is a shopping center, so it's really difficult to tell exactly what store these guys hit, but grand theft makes it enough for a felony one.
And Mike, do we know what agency started the pursuit? What's happening right now, and what's happening on the freeway here?
Yeah, so Riverside Sheriff started the pursuit, like Des mentioned, and Riverside Sheriff helicopter actually followed it all the way into LA County, and then CHP took it over. And Des, second time on and off an on-ramp here.
Yeah, on and off the ramps there, and actually maybe even the third, because earlier when they were making that transition around the 605 and the 5, they got briefly off the freeway at Florence and then back on. And let's see if they're going to do that again. Nope. Here we go over Carmenita, the newly widened Carmenita over the 5 freeway. And Santa Fe Springs squeezing right between these 2 vehicles right now here as well. Now, another wrinkle that we had heard is that they ran the plates and they believe that they come back to Southgate. So when they were going southbound 605 from the 60, we were thinking maybe they were headed back to where this vehicle is registered out of, but apparently not the case. Well, we'll see now that we're back northbound on the 5, but up to about 85 miles an hour, kind of dangerous maneuver there, squeezing between those vehicles, but CHP right on this one. The spotlight there's actually 2 aircraft that have been overhead. First it was Riverside County Sheriff's deputies, but they decided to head back home, and they handed this off to CHP as well as LA County Sheriff's deputies. So they've had a couple of aircraft over this one as well. So a lot of resources and a real long-distance pursuit here as we track northbound on the 5 here in the far right lane.
Yeah, and what's interesting watching this unfold, Des and Mike, is just how close that CHP officer is to the car. Normally we see a bigger distance, I guess. This is a little bit more aggressive here.
I was going to say, almost setting up like for a pit maneuver. Of course, they would never do that at high speeds on the freeway like this, but yeah, that CHP officer right on the tail there. And I did notice, and Des, I can't, it looks like they're maybe moving around their little handheld spotlight there on the car. I wonder if they're trying to get close enough to get a more clear idea of how many people are actually in the car.
Yeah, possibly, and that may have been how they were able to identify when they said that they believe that the driver was a female. So definitely possible. We haven't been able to get close enough to see if this one has that kind of typical pursuit tint that I call it, that dark tint, which just about every vehicle involved in a pursuit seems to have these days. It's really kind of remarkable how that's pretty much always the case. But definitely some desperation. Who knows what these folks are thinking, but just so odd the distance that we've covered in this one to come so far, sticking with the 60 freeway the whole way out of the Moreno Valley area, and then now to come down to the 5, track South 5, then back north, and coming right back up to the junction with the 605. We'll see what they decide to do at this point. But you got those CHP officers in real close tow behind as they are zig and zagging between the various lanes here.
Mike, have you heard what store this might have happened in? What kind of item might have been stolen for it to be considered grand theft?
No, but I did. I asked that. They're not sure. Well, the deputies are obviously sure, but the sergeant that I spoke with didn't have that exact information. But I can tell you that what's in that area is a TJ Maxx. There's a Bevmo. There's a T-Mobile, a Spectrum store. We've seen these situations where they steal these cell phones. That certainly would elevate it to grand theft. Even stuff from TJ Maxx. We had a pursuit, Des. I think you were with us a while ago where they stole stuff from a Walmart. I think that was down in Orange County. And the watch commander down there at the time of that pursuit had told me that they'll come in and they'll steal very specific but almost random items, but enough for them to resell to whoever. I don't want to call it maybe a black market, I guess, but stuff that is easily resold, but it elevates it to enough property that it's a felony.
Yeah, and you could see why, CHP decided to be pretty aggressive on this one, even though this wasn't, an armed robbery or anything like that. Maybe just trying to send a message to folks. Just because it's not necessarily a violent robbery or something doesn't mean that we're just going to let this one slide. And they have been awfully aggressive with this one. So pretty interesting to see. You're mentioning a T-Mobile store or something out there. It's always befuddling to me why anyone steals phones from those stores, because they can be instantly deactivated and then they basically just become big, worthless pieces of plastic. But I don't know, maybe a criminal's not always thinking those things.
And not only deactivated, Des, but they can track them.
That's right.
I mean, we've done a ton of pursuits where they find these guys because the stuff they stole is trackable.
Yeah. So sticking right at about 80 miles an hour, but boy, yeah, this unit really has been really, really close behind, and I'm wondering if that's kind of adding any of the potential sense of panic or agitation that this suspect may be experiencing right now as we get off the freeway at Lakewood Boulevard. So, we are kind of trending towards the Southgate area, and just have to wonder if that is where these folks are heading. What were they, if this is their vehicle and they live in the Southgate area, what were they doing out in the Moreno Valley area? If they was some specific store they were trying to hit or something. I mean, I guess we'll probably won't know the answer to that for quite some time. But now we are off the freeway. Will we stay off the freeway and get right back on? No, we were had a chance to get back there on the 5.
They didn't.
Nope, southbound Lakewood Boulevard.
What's interesting, the last time we had a pursuit like this, the drivers went into an area they were familiar with. Remember, they all foot bailed, and that turned into another search in the neighborhood for several pursuit suspects here.
And then the car disappeared on us after we were.
And then we had 2 crime scenes. Here we are pulling off into a parking lot. Let's see what's going to happen here. A lot more traffic. Looks like a U-turn.
Go up on the wrong way.
This is
wrong
almost
way driving now. So
I can almost guarantee we're going to hear those magic numbers, Daz, when he's doing this.
Whoa.
Yeah, maybe. I actually did just see a CHP do a U-turn, though. But you see now how many units were involved in this one. But this is pretty nerve-wracking as we go the wrong way there on Lakewood Boulevard. And oh, look at that! Wow, CHP said no. We are not going to cancel because of that. They righted themselves on the right side of the road. You saw them do that U-turn as well. Pretty unusual again, because it's so many times, like Mike was saying, that the second they go the wrong way, they back off at least momentarily. But they really are sticking with this one. And I'm wondering if they might try a pit maneuver or something now that we're on surface streets. Although I say that, and it looks like we're going to be getting back on the freeway right now.
Yeah, it looked like they did another U-turn and headed back, and instead of going straight, they jumped right back on the freeway. We're still in the Downey Norwalk area, off joining the I-5 freeway there. Left. And you can see just how close that CHP officer is to this car. Pursuit of a grand theft suspect, we understand, as this pursuit started somewhere in Riverside County, possibly Moreno Valley. 2 people going inside a store and coming out with merchandise, enough merchandise for this to be considered a grand theft. And what we now believe is there may have been a female getaway driver waiting for them. And we've been watching this pursuit unfold here for the last 5 or 6 minutes here at pretty high rates of speed, Mike, here on the 5 freeway.
Right, and Des, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this looks like a Camry, right? A Toyota Camry?
I believe it's a Toyota Corolla, one of the most reliable cars ever made. Yeah, it looks like maybe an early aughts Toyota Corolla, possibly. And what do you know, it does have that really dark tint like we often see. So it's going to be difficult for CHP to see just how many people are in the vehicle if that was what they were trying to assess there. And now as looks like might be making another freeway transition here, stand by. But boy, I mean, so many officers on this one, and it's just, it's come such a long way. Moreno Valley, I mean, we're talking, 60 miles about, I think, 50, 60 miles from where this originated to, where we're going. So now, we got to start thinking as well how much gas is in this vehicle. Definitely a fuel-efficient vehicle, no doubt about that. You see this innocent person getting out of the way for CHP, but unfortunately giving this person a little bit more of a wide berth as we're on the connector ramp. So it looks like we'll be getting onto the 605, and unfortunately they're taking this ramp. Sometimes people take these ramps from the 605, these clover leaves, just a little bit too fast and have a tendency in a situation like this to spin out or hit the guardrail, but not the case there, as we are now northbound 605. So are we doubling back to the 60 and back to the Inland Empire? We'll have to see as we now make our way through Santa Fe Springs and a little sliver of Norwalk and Whittier, and then up to the 60 freeway.
Yeah, and incredible to see just how close those CHP officers are to this pursuit suspect. Right, Mike?
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, they'd have the license plate on
the spotlight on the ground.
Oh, I'm sorry, Des, go ahead.
No, I'm just talking with my pilot here. Go ahead.
Oh, gotcha.
Go ahead,
Mike. They are very close, and it makes me almost wonder a little bit. They've got the plate. They know where the RO, the registered owner's, address is. Did the plate come back to have, other crimes that this vehicle might be wanted for? Does the registered owner, are they known to law enforcement, or do they have a previous history? And that's why law enforcement is kind of being so aggressive with this, and CHP really, that's really not letting this go, especially when they went the wrong way on the roadway there. It was really kind of impressive to see CHP turn around and follow them that way. So it just makes me wonder, and Des, I don't know what you think, if there's something else that may be going on here after they ran those plates and figured out who these people might be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there could definitely be, some kind of outstanding warrant or something like that. Very, very typical for a lot of these pursuit suspects. We've done a lot of follow-ups here where, it turns out someone, might have been out on bail early, or an early release, or on probation, or outstanding warrants, or anything like that. So definitely probable. It almost looked like they might have thrown something out of the vehicle there really quickly before they turned off onto these, just here onto these streets. I have to listen to some of the chatter with CHP and see if they saw that as well. But I thought I saw a couple little things kind of bounce off the ground just behind this vehicle, a couple of streets over. But now we're back on the Telegraph Road, pretty busy street here that parallels the 605 freeway. So it's definitely been a nerve-wracking pursuit here as we are on some surface streets. Saw that wrong way maneuver earlier. Haven't seen too many blown red lights or anything like that, but not afraid to squeeze between people when they're sitting in between traffic. So definitely some desperation setting in here with these people in the car.
Yeah, and Des, this is, I think, at least since we've been over it, and I'm actually going back over the radar data to see, Riverside Sheriff's movements, but this is the longest we've been on surface streets, right?
I believe so, yeah. Since we got off the freeway there, off of the 605 at the Telegraph exit, kind of dancing around some surface streets in Whittier, yeah. And now, now we're driving back away from the Southgate area, but we've kind of been bouncing around off of the 5 and the 605 now for the last 10 or so minutes. So wondering what that's all about. There's a red light that they just went through. And where are these folks headed? What is the end game? We have to wonder if they're going to try to pull something like that last pursuit that we saw, that maneuver where they all got out and scattered and then were able to blend into a crowd or something like that. But they do have 2 helicopters on this one as we make our way into Whittier. Fortunately, traffic pretty light, kind of getting into a commercial area here on the border of Whittier and Santa Fe Springs. So hopefully not going to see too much traffic out here as we approach the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and Des, this is the first time we've seen that CHP unit kind of gain this much distance. I'm wondering if that's because they're on surface. Well, now I say that he's, comes right up to him, but had a little bit of distance from him there for a little while.
Mike, we're going to go ahead and break in here. This is, go ahead, Des, just give us a second here. We're going to make sure that our audience knows this is KCAL News at 10 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Jeff Vaughn. Susie Sudd joins me here as we're going to breaking news in progress. Pursuit of a grand theft suspect. We do understand that suspect is inside the vehicle, but it's not related to the stealing of the vehicle. However, it's a result of some sort of retail theft that occurred in the Riverside County area. CHP Susie is in pursuit. We do not know how many suspects inside, and this has been going on for 60+ miles.
That's right. This all started after the Riverside County Sheriff's Department was called to the 12,600 block of Frederick Street, we believe in Moreno Valley, for a grand theft. Two men in their 50s stole some items from a store. Looks like some people are running right now. Let's take a look at that. Let's go upstairs to Desmond Shaw for an update. Desmond, what do you see?
Yeah, behind this big box store here, we'll see what this is. It looks like maybe a Lowe's or a Home Depot or something, and it looks like this was probably what they were looking for. They got out of the car, and I think they ran right into Walmart here, the three different suspects. And so they left the vehicle in park, got out and ran. We saw CHP come and put the vehicle in park, and now they are going to be running through a Walmart. So they're going to need to seal all of the emergency exits to this building. Might want to keep a wide shot right now just to see if we see anybody running out any of the exits in the corner of the building. Obviously a massive building, and unfortunately a lot of places they could hide, and there's going to be a lot of folks in there that are going to be very jarred at this situation unfolding now, Jeff and Susie.
Yeah, obviously there could be a lot of people that could be mixed up into this. That's an area that they can go into with a lot of people inside, Susie. This is a Walmart where at least a couple of suspects foot-bailed after a CHP pursuit of a vehicle. The suspects inside wanted for grand theft and retail theft of some sort. And this all started in Riverside County. A couple of those suspects, we're getting a wide shot here from SkyCab, but let's bring in Mike Rogers from the desk. Mike, this is one of those situations where these officers are going to have to kind of secure this area, get themselves that perimeter, if you will, but a lot of moving parts going on.
And I'm sorry, I'm listening to some radio traffic right now. They actually believe that the party, one of the suspects may be in the receiving area towards the Walmart, which, Des, I'm guessing is probably, and actually really quick, Desmond, that CHP, that front car right there, look, do they have somebody on the hood? Did they already catch one of the suspects?
Let's see here. It looks like they do indeed have, okay, and let's see, double in and see if we could see. Okay, so that looks like a female, so I believe that's the driver. I just heard him say, I think I just heard him say driver and passenger in custody. So, oh wow, they actually just called a code 4 on this one. So they got the driver here. I guess they couldn't make it into the store, and they managed to just find the passenger. And we were thinking that there might be 3 people in the vehicle, but they're calling code 4 now. We should see another person coming out here in handcuffs shortly.
Okay. So we believe the driver of the car, the suspect car, was the woman that we're talking about, and then 2 men in their 50s are the ones who apparently went into the store. That's what we're hearing. That's what we've been reporting. Went into that store, and that's when the grand theft happened. Grand theft, we're talking. You know, for money amounts, right? You know, at least $950 in the state of California, right, Mike?
Right, and that's what elevates it to a felony. So that's what makes this, you know, why they chased it probably as hard as they did, you know, coming all the way out of Moreno Valley. You know, the bad news for these suspects, too, is they had 2 law enforcement helicopters overhead. So, you know, one was watching the front, one was watching the back, and that made it really difficult for them. So, you know, it's good news, though, that it seems like they may have everybody in custody, although they seem interested in this guy, Des.
Yeah, I'm listening to the helicopter talk, and he's saying, hey, come get this guy. I've got under my spotlight. So maybe there was 3 people, even though I heard him call code 4. This person that has a bag here, they're trying to make contact with this person. They're guiding the units in here. Here come a couple of the police, and they're going to try to bring this person into custody as well.
Okay, I think this is one of those situations where we can continue to follow that and bring you updates. Here as a result of this police pursuit. The suspects are in custody, and we'll check back in when we get more information. It looks like code 4 has been called.